Happy Friday. Today is August 3rd, 2018. I'm Michele Pischea, filling in for Jeannie, and I'm here today with Dr. Timothy Hay. We warmly welcome you to the show, and thank you for choosing to be with us. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. Press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk with our host. We encourage you to call in with your comments or questions, allowing you to actively strengthen and deepen your practice. So now let's welcome laughter in support of developing our inner process of Aramaic forgiveness.
Thank you, Chuckles. Good to hear your voice.
Good to be here.
How have you been these many 20-some hours since we talked last?
I feel refreshed and renewed, and got a good night's sleep, and so I told Jeannie it felt like the last couple of days have been like a mini intensive.
Well, congratulations for being willing to take advantage of that opportunity, and I trust you're getting maximum benefit by just applying the willingness to stay with it. And I just want to extend my gratitude to you for being willing to share at that level and stay in the process. Here's to you. You know, there are all of these different toasts that people can make. Well, here's to your health, and here's to your mental health and wealth, and here's gratitude for sharing that with this community.
Thank you. I had some similar accolades from Julie, and my response to her was that, sure, I'm willing, and part of my success has been dependent on the good coaching and the good feedback. And I said, you and, Dr. Tim are among the best. And so I appreciate the willingness to, the generosity to give the support, and help me move through some real tough stuff. On the way to work today, I sort of practiced. I said, I wonder how I feel about the obituary now, and I try to find some upset, like directly related to that little piece, and I was amused that I couldn't. Like, I really whatever, it is what it is, and it felt really sincere. Not that I'm not complete, because it was very sobering yesterday when you kind of outlined and defined the 77 times 7 issue, and that process isn't going to be complete this lifetime, that it's going to be something that keeps coming around and coming around and coming around, and it's like, ooh, that's heavy. And it's better to know, realign your expectations, that I'm not necessarily gonna get this complete.
Well, thank you for the compliment of sorts. I want to highlight the fact that this is simply the application of the tools. And if you feel you've been getting good coaching, it's because Ruka is allowed, and the principles that we've been observing in this work have been allowed to flow. And as I said at the beginning of yesterday's show, every one of us has times where we get triggered and we get stuck in trying to figure it out, or trying to be the expert, or trying to fix it for somebody else. And to the extent that any one of us is willing to just sit in the middle of our muddle and say, I don't really know what anything is or is for. I don't really know what my brother or sister needs here in this moment. So I'm asking to be shown. How can I be of service? To the degree one can do that, the higher wisdom can get tapped into and can flow. And that's, in my experience, as I listened back to the last two shows, that's what's been happening. And when it comes to the concept of wanting to be done, and I just want to reiterate that everything I've learned about this work from a host of different, whether it's Thich Nhat Hanh or Krishnamurti or the Dalai Lama or Guy Finley or the Michael Rice work, it's all saying there's a fundamental fault in the process, and I need to be willing to explore that as long as I'm drawing breath, and be willing to continue to expand and learn about the potential that's beyond what my conscious logical mind can even comprehend when I first ask, when I first pose a really good question. As Rilke would say, if I pose a really good question, if the perfect answer were given to me all written out and explained beautifully step by step, my mind wouldn't be able to comprehend it. I don't have, as Michael Rice would say, I don't have the brain cells. I don't have the background experience. I don't have the framework within which this answer would be productive. So thank you again for your willingness to go there and use the tools and provide what I would tell everybody is a tremendous blessing in these last two radio shows. And actually, it goes back to the day before, and the day before where we had, I forget the guy's, the name of the man who called, I think it started with a D, when Jeannie was hosting, and he was just so full of words and talking and talking and talking, and he finally just slowed down and allowed the concept that talking about it isn't going to do the work. Doing the work is the only thing that makes progress. So thank you to all of the callers and all of their willingness, and I'm glad to hear that when you sit and think about the events that you thought were triggering your upset, you notice that because you've done your work to dismantle your upset and see what's underneath it, those thoughts and those events no longer trigger the same energies in you. And the reason that can be is because you don't have those energies in you anymore. You're not pouring your thought energy and your belief into the meaning and the interpretation of that set of events that you were just a couple days ago. And we encourage people to do that on a regular basis. Test it out. I'm not going to heal by making sure I stay away from whatever triggers my pain. I'm going to heal by dismantling my pain. And if I think I've done my work to dismantle my pain, I can test it out. I can think the same thoughts that used to resonate it. I can have a time of being exposed to somebody who's resonating that energy and find out for myself, is it really different? Has there really been a shift? And if there hasn't been a significant shift, I can step into the use of the tools again. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. I also got a message from you about Course in Miracles lessons. Mm-hmm. And we're at the beginning of a show, and we should talk a little bit about the core of this work and why we're here. So people can go to www.whyagain.org, and you can click on the link that says Start Here, the red and white bullseye, and that's a really good place to start. You can also click on the picture of a microphone and go to the archives and listen to the shows from the 1st and the 2nd of August in 2018, and find two of the more powerful processing sessions that have happened in the last 7.5 years on this show, thanks to Michele, or I should say thanks to Chuckles and Laughter. And I highly recommend that. The core of the work that we're asking people to engage in is the process of forgiveness, the ancient Aramaic process of forgiveness, and that's available for free download, a beautiful PowerPoint, 24.5-minute PowerPoint describing that process, the why it works and how it works. Chapter 24 of Dr. Rice's book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, can be downloaded for free and read, and that explains that same process. And then a host of other worksheets and audio files to radio shows like this. So please take advantage of that. And one of the things that Dr. Rice has decided he wanted to do this year is make the commitment to read a Course in Miracles lesson each day. And Chuckles let me know that we're a little bit behind. So today we should read lessons 213, 214, and 215. And so Course in Miracles lesson 213 reads, I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. And 193 says, all things are lessons God would have me learn. This reminds me of Guy Finley and his statement that lessons ride in on the back of events. Life events are coming for me. They're not happening to me, punitively to me. When life is unfolding, especially if I've made the request, especially if I have said, I want to know more of God, I want to be filled with love, I want to go home, know my Creator, any statements like that. If I've made statements like that, then whatever unfolds in my life is an answer to that request. And it's going to bring lessons that I need to learn to move to the next level. The trick is, most of the time, I don't know what I need to learn, and I don't embrace the events that will stir up the pain in me that needs to be released or teach me the things I need to learn. Guy Finley has this line, he says, it's actually possible to approach life and imagine that every time I get triggered to upset in life, it's really a better way to think about how this isn't going the way I want it to. A better way to think about it is, in this moment, life is saying to me, hey, Tim, would you like to know what's keeping you from knowing me and loving me more deeply? Because the upset in you right now, Tim, the resistance you have to what life is bringing you is literally keeping you from knowing love, from knowing life, from being in the flow, from being able to bless creation and extend the energy of creation through your temporary communication device of the human body. So right now, here's a choice. You can resist what's happening, or you can accept it and look at it with an eye that says, oh, I wonder what I might see here that's keeping me from knowing, loving, and experiencing life more freely. So that's lesson 123. All things are lessons God would have me learn.
Tim?
The lesson is yes?
Was it 223?
No, this is underneath 213.
Okay.
There is the number 193, so it's like a review tucked in here, and lesson 213. 213 says, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. And then beneath that it says, 193 is, all things are lessons God would have me learn. And the paragraph underneath that says, a lesson is a miracle which God offers to me in place of thoughts that I made that hurt me. What I learn of Him, what I learn of creation, the creative force, becomes the way I am set free. And so I choose to learn the Creator's lessons and forget my own. So that's lesson 213. 214 says, a review of 194. I'm not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. And lesson 194 says, I place the future in the hands of God. And the summary paragraph underneath that says, the past is gone, the future is not yet. Now am I freed from both. Now, meaning this present moment, and then this present moment, and then whenever I'm awake and aware, that present moment, that is when I am freed from the past and the future. For what the Creator gives can only be for good. And I accept only what He gives as what belongs to me. This is right in line with the Way of Mastery, talking about the keys to the kingdom. Aligning myself with the desire of the energy of creation that wants to express uniquely through me. Keeping my intention focused on aligning with the creative force and what it wants to express. Allowing whatever happens. Noticing resistance and letting it fall away. Surrendering to whatever I might learn in the moment, especially when a moment arises and I have resistance to it. I drop the resistance and move into allowance and surrender. And then I keep my humility, which is the recognition that the conscious logical mind I'm using to figure out how to get in the chat room or dial the phone has no concept of how I was created, when I was created, how I digest the food that I create. There's far more going on here than my conscious logical mind can even comprehend, much less direct. So I place my future in the hands of God. That's the review, lesson 214, reviewing lesson 194. And then lesson 215 is a review of lesson 195. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. 195, the lesson says, love is the way I walk in gratitude. The Holy Spirit is my only guide. He walks with me in love, and I give thanks to Him for showing me the way to go. Now, the practical application of this in my life looks like this constant questioning, what is mine to do? This constant observation, I don't know what anything is or is for. I don't know when I was created or who or how I was created, and so I can't possibly know what's best for me in this moment, what's best for my brother or sister. So I move into the place of that curiosity about the mystery of life expressing in, through, and as me and around me, and I continually ask throughout the day to be shown what is mine to do, what is mine to learn here, how can I bless this creation, how can I be of service to that creative force. And that's an actual practice in my life that's made my life better by leaps and bounds, far more than words could describe for the past 15 or so years that I've been using it. So those are our review lessons suggested by you, Michele. Any comments, questions?
The idea of love is the way I walk in gratitude. When I first read that yesterday, it really resonated something for me that like a shift in the sense that I do feel the gratitude a lot of times, and that generating, maintaining, extending love and light as consciously, actively, as often as I'm and keep my awareness on it is a way to say thank you. And so I guess it gave me more motivation to dismantle when I'm not being that, when I am being unconscious, when I am being fearful or sad or angry or guilty or coming up with some shame to play with that. Like, wait a second, you're demonstrating gratitude. That was the commitment. So return to love. And just something shifted for me yesterday when I read that. I like that. The other part, Robert Smith with the tapping. I share tapping videos, and I was watching some clients, and he had this line when he was talking about flipping the memories when you tap, And he said, it's not your responsibility to maintain the past. And as simple as that sounds, it just sounded profound, because so many people, I remember last week or so I was talking about guilt, how some clients were feeling guilty for stuff they did when they were 12, and now they're 40. It's like, let it go. It's not your responsibility to maintain the past. So it's going to be added into my feedback toolbox.
Yeah,
so
that's quite a life lesson. That's quite a life lesson, and it's important, and he talks about it in different ways. I've had different really good therapy processes highlight the idea that, if you just pay attention, the pain I experienced in this abusive situation when I was 12 years old, and I'm remembering it now, and I'm feeling the anger, the bitterness, the pain, whatever, the shame, the guilt. That experience isn't happening anywhere in the universe except my mind right now. And then if you add that observation to your statement from Robert Smith that it's not my duty to keep the past alive, there's a tremendous freedom in that, especially when I step into the realization. I use some tools, and I realize that it is something that I can dismantle and let go. So you had a comment. We have someone with a hand up. What do you want to?
Yeah, I just want to say this because it was funny. So the idea of flipping, because obviously our past is going to shape our beliefs about who we are now. And somebody was giving him pushback, and he's like, the person said, like, well, Robert, you can't change the fact I was born. And Robert's like, well, you're not being born now. So,
exactly.
It's like, it's funny. Well, no, Susan has been waiting. Our dear friend Susan from Carolinas has been on the phone here waiting for us to complete. So let's say hello to her. Hi.
Hey, Michelle and Dr. Tim, chuckles and laughter. I think it should be reversed. Dr. Tim is chuckling. Hear him, that's him.
There you go.
I am so amazed and grateful for both of you. Michelle, you did great work the last few days. I've been holding a space of love for you and watching you move through that. Very brave, and your willingness was incredible. So kudos to you. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Susan.
Yep, I'm always cheering for you, girlfriend.
I love supporting you in the same way.
I know you do. I feel it. So I'm calling today. I had so much. The lesson was perfect. Actually, I had a Facebook friend that had printed or posted part of it. I'm not a body, I'm free. But what's been going on for me, and that's, I just want to do like a testimonial encouragement for everyone and share what's happening. I'm beginning to start, I've got two deposits for the next Laws of Living that will start on Sunday, the end of this month, so it's the 26th. And the last few weeks, I've noticed twice I've woken up in the middle of the night with this impending doom or panic, like something really, really, all I can say is, in my perception, something really bad has happened. And it's just like waking up out of a dead sleep, really deep sleep, not knowing exactly if I've been dreaming. I don't remember any dreams, but that something horrible has happened. And to the point of not being able to hardly be able to stand the panic. So my first time doing that, I opened my eyes, saw where I was, and that I was in the bed, and that nothing that I knew of had happened. And so then I went to my worksheet process and just started to work on the panic and the fear, is what I put on the sheet, and collapse or cancel my goal for everything to be okay, and to drill down and see that, I lived most of my childhood in a fearful state of being afraid. I think what's up in my face right now of my father drinking. And I never, ever realized that was a impending doom or walking on eggshells or a constant fear in my life. And so just a couple of days ago, I woke up again with that same panic, like something really, really bad has happened. And it's almost like when you find out it feels like when you find out somebody's been killed or somebody's dead and somebody just comes out of the blue and tells you, and it's someone that you really, really care about. That's the fear and the panic in me, that there's nothing you can do, so there's a helplessness thought about it. And so I went to my worksheet process this morning, and I started to write, just journal after I did the worksheet. And the journaling that come up was, as a child, there was a constant fear in my life. Even though weeks would go by and everything would be fine and the family would be fine, there was never a time that I thought, I was always looking for how could I control my father drinking? How could I stop it? What could I say? Could I see the signs before it happened? Could I do anything to keep it from happening? It was like, and this was like years of conditioning to want to control and be able to prevent that, what I would call just like train wreck, because every time it happened, it was a fiasco in my house. They were going to divorce, and I was going to have to choose, and it was crazy making. So what I'm seeing is that in this relationship that I'm in now, it's new to me. It's only been a few months, and this person drinks, and I've always walled off anybody that has alcohol. I've always hated the alcohol, like that was the problem. And so it's like I have this same impending, when is this going to happen again, and it's bringing up my childhood, and I see it totally as a gift in the present moment. It's something that I have been unconscious of, a stress that's in my body. It's bound to be in every cell of my body over the years, and it's just coming up for me to heal. So what I notice is, as my first person paid their deposit on the laws of living, my vitality shot up. I could almost feel the strength, and now I feel like I'm riding a wave, like a surfer in the ocean. This is what I always use, and I'm on top of the wave, and I know that, the wave is going to come to the shore soon, and I'll probably get off, but it's like I'm on the wave of doing the work, and there's a more of an excitement, gratitude, thrilled that I have an opportunity to have the vitality high enough to move this out. And it always happens. For anybody thinking about teaching this work, for me, the experience has been when I start the process of opening the door to the next class and actually getting together with a few people that are wanting it and getting a day. And as it starts, it's like Ruka starts with my next layer that's got to move out, and it's got to move out before the class starts. So as soon as the first deposit's paid, here we go. And I'm in my stuff while I'm trying to recruit for the class or trying to encourage people to step into that next level of doing their work. So it's an incentive. It's a testimonial to teaching. It's a testimonial to seeing what comes up as a gift and knowing that, I got tears coming, that Ruka is always right there, always. There's absolutely everything. She will walk through it with you. That's the comfort of it all. And I think I've had that since my childhood, of knowing that I was divinely guided and supported even as a little girl. I used to know that the trees, I used to swing on the swing set in the backyard, and I didn't know where it was coming from, but I had a knowing that I was totally supported. and everything was going to be okay. Even though in the midst of that, it didn't look like it was going to be okay. And that's exactly what I experienced today, is that Ruka is right there with me in every breath. She is actually the air I breathe. And she goes through every cell in my body to relieve and release all that fear that has blocked me from being able to step in to doing my work and to living as a presence of love. And that, Dr. Tim, it was very humbling and sad yesterday when you said what you did to Michele about we're never going to get done, because I kept thinking every time I would go to Heartland, okay, this is it. This is the 17 days where I'm going to move it out and I'm going to be complete and I can step into being what I need to do on the planet. And now I really get it.
So
it's
take a breath. Take a breath.
Yeah.
Chuckles.
Good. You just go right ahead.
You just said it was humbling and sad.
Right.
So you
outside of my body.
You have a monster, you have a demon that's humbling and sad that follows you around and jumps up when I say certain words. That's scary. Maybe you should talk to somebody about an exorcism.
Maybe I should cancel a goal for life to be safe.
Maybe we should recognize that it isn't sad. It is just some vibrations that were set up through the air passing over my vocal cords, and the vibrations were trying to communicate some intention I have, but it clearly didn't land on your ears with the same intention. And it resonated sadness and something about, you said humbling, so I have a feeling that you mean something different than the ancient Aramaic word for humility, which means that glorious capacity to look for, identify, and then cooperate only with the highest and the best in another, which is another way of saying to be able to see the interconnectedness of all people and things, and to extend that gratitude for the life, for the existence expressing through me in the moment. I have a feeling that's not what you mean when you say humbling and sad.
No. You're absolutely right on target. I was down. It was like going to my knees, like, oh, my God. Resistance was up, like, don't say it's never going to be done. Oh, my God.
Well,
I'm so ready for it to be done, but then it'll be, I don't even think there is a done.
But here's a really good thing to explore. What does that mean to you? Because to me, the meaning behind those words is so liberating and so hopeful. When I recognize that it's a process and my life gets better each and every time I apply the tools, then I get to say, oh, good, another event, another piece of learning, another movement on the path. I'm a different, more flexible, more compassionate person today than I was yesterday, and that has the capacity to continue infinitely into each new present moment of the future. And for me, that's a joyous recognition. So somehow those words resonate something very different in you that stir up a sadness or a kind of a hopelessness or a kind of a negative self-impression. I don't quite know what you mean by the word humbling, but I don't hear a positive connotation in your words for that. So you could unpack that. Because
right. I hear
because
you.
For me, it's so hopeful. For me, it's so hopeful because the more I use the tools, the better my life gets. So no matter how good it is today, recognition of the process says it can get better tomorrow. It can get deeper, richer, more expansive, more inclusive, more creative, more joyous. To me, that's a hopeful thought.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. I think I hear 24/7, 365 as every minute of every day. And I think and this is what I was going to say too, I do think, and I have experienced, the several of the tools that we use, and one of them is holding a space of love for yourself as what feels uncomfortable or less than love comes up. And in that space of love that you're holding for yourself, that you're staying connected while you're processing out what doesn't belong. So I do think you can hold a space of love 24/7, 365, and still clear and process through what's coming up. I think that's kind of what Dr. Rice says about process point, where you get to the point where you're holding the love for yourself and everyone around you to where it can just melt away without any other tool being used. And that's very encouraging and liberating for me to think of that. And that may be where you're at when you're talking about living more and more in the presence of love. But I see my life right now, the gift is something that I have walled off, partitioned my life away from any kind of alcohol because of my childhood. Just stay away from it. If you're not around it, you don't have to deal with it. And it's very helpful if the whatever I'm carrying inside of me, it gets its chance to be liberated and set free and transmuted. And, it's just it's like it's false evidence appearing real as what fear actually is. It's not even real. It's not in this moment. Like you said, you're not being born right now. I'm not living my childhood right now. So the opportunity is now with the tools just to allow it to blow through the screen door. And I forget who was saying something like that, to pass through you. I saw it on
Dale
Facebook.
Ellen Hoffman quotes the Lakota Sioux as saying, let the wind blow through you.
Yeah,
and
I was
listening
to him yesterday.
For decades in therapy, before I ever met Michael Rice, I would tell people, try to just be like baleen. Baleen is this cartilage-type substance in whales. There are sheets of it. Think about vertical blinds, and imagine vertical blinds with little tiny hooks. And the whales go through the ocean, through the plankton, and they scoop up all that's there. And then they flush it through this baleen, and the baleen just grabs what nourishes them, grabs the plankton, and lets all the other seawater and all the other garbage flow through. So be plankton. Take everything life has to offer and only hold on to that which nourishes you. Set Rachma and Kuba over and over again. The filter in your mind over intentions, and choose to intend only loving intentions, and that lets only loving intentions be used as the fuel, the foundations of your goals in life, and that will motivate your behavior to always be loving. Set Kuba, which is a filter over your perception, which allows only perceptions keyed to love and kindness to reach you, because this is that, in conjunction with that thought about humility being this ability to look for and see the highest and best in another person, and then choose to cooperate only with that. I believe Kuba, the filter in the mind, in the back of the brain over perception, is key to that humility. I can see somebody standing in front of me raging at me, and I can also see their brilliance, them as a being of brilliance and light just like me, and I can choose to cooperate with their brilliance, with their light, with the energy of creation flowing through them. I can choose to ignore their false image of me as being the cause of their pain, and I can see the truth that they are just like I am, and they are in pain. And when I see that, when I let that truth act on me, and I act from that truth, all that is possible, the only thing possible, is loving, nurturing, supportive interactions.
I love it. Amen. Beautiful. Beautifully said. Right on target.
And right now, I have no idea what got me triggered to say that. So if you were going in a different direction, let me know.
No. It was beautiful.
Oh, the wind blowing through me. Okay.
Yeah, the wind blowing through me. That was it. And it was Dale Allen Hoffman. I have him on my phone So I was listening to him after the radio show yesterday, and that's exactly what he said. And I was like, oh, yes, that's beautiful. Thank you. No, I've just wanted to share that I think teaching this work allows me to take it at deeper and deeper levels. And it's the passion that I live for to do this work. I mean, it's absolutely, I was thinking when you and Michele were doing the opening that it's, for me, it's the only thing worthwhile on the planet to do my work. Everything else is chop wood, carry water, you know. It's what you have to do, but what you really is the most important thing, and we get the most accomplishment, or I think, to carry it with us. I don't know what you would say, but anyway, this work is amazing, and I'm very grateful, so grateful that I found it when I did, and that I had the passion for the clearing of the carbon-based memory, and it's exactly what I was looking for, and I am grateful you're here every day. That's another thing I encourage everybody in my group to always stay connected to the radio show, to call the radio show. If you've got an issue, call, because when you pick up that phone and you press 1, you connect into the energy of everyone in this community. And that is what, number one, disperses the energy and clears it faster, because we're all connected and we're all one. And so thank you for being here every day and for your service of doing this show. And I'm sending you love and light wherever I am and whatever I'm doing. And when I can call in, I'll call in and talk to you. So anyway, that's it for me. I don't know if anybody else has got a hand up, but I think I'm complete.
All right. Well, thank you. Michele, comments?
Well, this last thing that, Susan, you were just sharing, I was telling Jeannie a little bit about, you know, how nice it has been. You know, she says thank you for you know, taking her place, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Thank you, because the opportunity here for my healing, and when there's no hands up and just, you know, surrendering to that process is incredible, and the reward has been tenfold. And it's, you know, like this community, what you're saying, I had acknowledgement from friends in Michigan, Florida, Illinois, North Carolina, Missouri, Oregon, and I you know, step back for a second, like, my goodness, that is amazing. And so that, you're right, it's available for any one of us who wants to press 1 and put yourself out there. And it, you know, because it was a big risk in taking that step. Wednesday.
Let's say it this way, Michele. It seemed like a big risk, and what you're just telling us is it was a huge blessing to yourself and the community. The egoic mind wants me to think there's danger. That's very risky. It could go horribly wrong. And the fact of the matter is, all the great teachings that we talk about on this show, whether it's Course in Miracles or Way of Mastery or Thich Nhat Hanh, they all say there's nothing to fear. There's only this loving energy. There's nothing of value that can be taken from you or added unto you. So just to be a little bit more accurate with that, just say, it seemed, and my egoic mind was telling me this is a big risk. And what your experience has been is blessing after blessing after blessing.
Well, I just want to say thank you too. I'm going to say thank you, Michele, for for opening up and being willing and being vulnerable. It was fantastic, and it was a great demonstration of the shift and your willingness to do what Dr. Tim suggested. It was just phenomenal. And like you said, the community is all over the world every day, right here waiting to hold the space of love for whatever's surfacing. And the sooner we bring it up and out, the quicker it clears, the quicker humanity and the vibration of the planet can raise above the battleground, as the Course in Miracles says. And that's what we're here for, and that's what it's all about. So August 26th, Hold the Space of Love, 10:30 on Sunday morning, we'll be doing Laws of Living. I think this is my 12th course that I'm teaching, the 12th class. So I'm excited. And I will pass and let someone else speak from now on. I'll say thank you, and I'll hold a space of love and listen.
Thank you, and congratulations.
All right, we've got caller 910 on the line. Thanks for putting your hand up. Who have we got?
Hey, this is Jill. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're clear.
Okay, perfect. I'm in Wilmington, and happy to hear Susan's voice. And it's so funny, I'm listening to you talk about, I'm a great student of Susan, she says, like she mentioned, when you're having an issue, press 1, and so I did, because I'm having an issue. I was triggered, and you guys are on the radio, so I thought perfect timing. I have been triggered a bunch lately, and this just happened, and it's old, big stuff, and so I have a difficulty getting back to love. That's my biggest challenge. So halfway through the worksheet, I'm not canceling any goals because I'm still, right now, my emotion is mad, and I'm still mad. So it's not changing anything. So I don't know if we have time to walk through a bit of a worksheet or just where you want to direct me, but I am here because this is an issue that affects me in many areas of my life, and I'd like it to go.
Well, we could certainly, at the very least, help you frame out a worksheet.
Okay, perfect.
What is the thought that you're using to generate this anger that you say you're so mad?
The thought is that everything is more important than me. I don't matter.
So have you put these two things on a worksheet already?
Yes, I started an online one. So, yep, I started that. And as soon as I said that out loud, though, everything's more important than me and I don't matter, what comes up is sad, right underneath being really mad. I'm hurt.
So you can frame a second worksheet, and what's the thought that you're generating or you're using to generate the hurt?
It's the same one. Everything's more important than me and I don't matter.
Okay, so notice there's a different energy, so there must be a slightly different frequency in thought to generate anger in one instance and sadness or hurt in another. So let's stay with the anger first.
Okay.
So everybody's more important than me. I'm really angry.
Mhm.
And what's the trigger? What's the situation or trigger?
The trigger is my mom canceled meeting with me later today because she's working on her computer and really frustrated with it.
Okay. And what's your punishment thought?
To her, I want to say, fine, I'm never asking you for help again. And to myself, I want to hold the rage in because another message is, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. And so I can't say any of this to her. So I'm going to hold it in.
Okay, so you want to isolate or avoid or run away from her.
With an attitude, not just run away, like run away with the finger. Let's be clear.
Right. And make sure you get that down. To hell with you. Yeah. Screw you or whatever. Make sure that's in that. The more honest I can be with my punishment thoughts, the better my results will be in every worksheet.
Okay.
And then it sounds like, part of what you're doing in the punishment thought for yourself is beating yourself up.
Yes. Yes, it's
there's something wrong with you for being angry. Yeah, you know that only good people good people don't have anger in them, so you can't let this out. And then we have to figure out what's the goal in this situation that would align with your anger and the thought that everything's more important than you. What's the goal you would have for your mother?
To recognize that I'm important and to put me first.
Okay. So go ahead and make sure you make a good note about that, to recognize I'm important and put me first. And one of the things, because we're time limited, we can't go through every word on the worksheet and flesh this out. One of the things that is usually instructive in a situation like this is to look at a power person dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're doing, or what you want to do in a punishment thought, is often going to be what your power person did that you hated the most.
Okay, that's interesting.
So which power person would want to cut you out with an attitude, distance him or herself from you with anger, isolate from you, withdraw from you, and you just hated it when that happened? Mom, dad, grandparent?
Let me see. So to me, that isolation, that's kind of, it's both abandonment, really. Whether I'm withdrawing physically or not speaking. I think that's abandonment, which would be that's both parents. That's both.
Okay. So here's the thing. Oftentimes, the further I go in this work, the more these wonderful concepts, when I play the role of like the curious, childlike curiosity or scientific observer, and I just take a step back and I say, wow, what I want to do right now is blast anger at my mom and then isolate from her, abandon her.
Yeah.
I want to move to the place where I never have to ask that woman for help ever again. I'll let her dangle out there in the wind, and I won't let her into my life.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a fancy term for abandonment. Wow, I always hated it when I felt my parents were abandoning me.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, that's the thing they did that I hated the most. And I always used to think I would never want to do that to my own child or anybody that I loved. And yet here I am, wanting to do that very thing. Wow, that's curious. The more I look at my behavior, it gets curiouser and curiouser. So just breathe into that. When I'm in the position of being less powerful than someone else in my life, and I've recognized that they're not being very loving, and I think this is a survival level situation for me that I absolutely have to get it right or I won't survive. The behavior they're doing that I hate the most, I have thoughts about that, like, how could anyone ever do that? That's the most horrible thing, and no one should ever do that to anybody. And yet here I am as an adult, and my mind is trying to tell me, you know, Tim, this is the perfect thing to do. Abandon that sucker. Isn't that curious?
Very curious, yeah.
Look at how distorted my perception can get. And if I take that and I bring Chuckles back in like you just did, and I let myself have that childlike curiosity, that starts to soften that rigid hold I had on my protective anger. And that might be a key that lets me step into thinking a loving thought, presencing love, letting the loving, compassionate part back in, because that's going to be the thing that does any healing that happens in a worksheet process. So take a breath and let me know what you're feeling now.
I feel a lot less pissed, I can tell you that.
So one of the things Guy Finley says is he says, you know, when we move to the point where we open our vision broad enough to see that we can't keep ourselves from doing the very thing we think we're mad at somebody else for doing, that opens the door to compassion. And you could, you can use the word love there, or you can use the word compassion there, but that's what's needed. That's the healing force in any worksheet. That's the process of Michael calls it processing, holding love, conscious, active, and present when something unlike love comes up. So we have a minute left. I hope this was useful. It's a weekend, so please, if you're super stuck, feel free to reach out to Susan or some other coach and have the best year yet of your eternal lives. Thanks for some of the best shows we've had in the last 7.5 years, Michele, and come back and join us next week.
Thank you.